Hey everyone, welcome to week 68. Today is day 5. This is our last day, Friday, in our Remnants week. I think we've done well. Let's see if we finish strong. So we'll see how we do today.
Okay, let's get started. This is Friday. This is our last day. This is 5th day on our Remnants week. And I think this week has been super cool. I'm going to come clean. I've actually felt very little pressure when I'm painting. I mean, painting for this project has been a very weird thing. I've had to teach myself how to understand the nature of the manner in which I paint for these exercises. For example, I would always paint and painted like this for many, many years. I would paint standing up. I think that standing up is the best way to paint because you can actually, get away from your painting, take a few steps back and then come close again. And it just gives you a sense of perspective constantly. You can check the wholeness, the integrity of your painting as you're painting. It may seem small, but the transition to working sitting down and just propping up a drawing table was a little strange. I started out, I don't know if you guys know this, but I started out recording myself for Instagram Live videos. And I would have to work on a table, just on a regular table. But what I didn't realize is that when I would work on a table, and I would also have to keep my distance just so that I wouldn't get my bald head in the shot, because of that, the image would end up being really distorted. I would elongate things like crazy because, they looked fine from where I was, from my point of view. But as soon as I hovered over my sketchbook and I looked straight down at the image, I could tell that everything was kind of stretched out. And it was really funny when I look back and I see our Painted Live sketchbook project. There's a ton of paintings there that are subtly distorted, and that's the reason why they're distorted. Because if we were painting those and if we were doing live videos for those, I always had to kind of lean back when I was painting just so that I wouldn't get in the shot. And because I was leaning back, my drawing would suffer for it. So it was very hard for me to make that transition from standing up to painting on a table and then painting on this angled drawing table. The other thing is having a camera right on top of you, recording everything you do, gives you like a hyper consciousness of the way you paint. And that is a very, very strange feeling. I remember at the beginning feeling that I had to make intelligent choices constantly. And the truth is, you guys know me already. We've done over 300 paintings, but honestly, it's never been easy. And at the beginning, I thought I have to try and hit my brushstrokes. I have to try and hit my drawing. And eventually I was like, wait. I'm not that type of painter. I'm sort of a messy painter. And I'm a mess in every sense of the word. I'm a mess mixing my colors. I'm a mess putting my colors down. I'm a mess composing. I'm a mess drawing. My drawing is all over the place, to be honest. And there was a moment where I was like, okay, I can't just sell this idea of a far more disciplined version of the artist that I am, because that's not true. I have to be comfortable with who I am. I have to be okay with showcasing the very many manners in which I struggle. And when that sort of clicked in my head, when I was like, you have to be comfortable with who you are, and you have to paint the same way if nobody was watching or if a whole stadium full of people, if the Camp Nou was watching. So that may seem like a very simple transition, but it's not. It really isn't. Being conscious of how you work and accepting the manner in which you work, so much so that you just don't feel any pressure anymore, it's very, very complex. But the other part in all of this, and perhaps this is like the weirdest, strangest part in our project, is the fact that we wouldn't be able to do this project if we didn't sell the paintings that we produce. And I always told myself, just paint whatever you want. Paint whatever paintings you want to paint. Don't give a second of thought to the idea of changing the way in which you paint just so that you can secure a sale. Because if I've learned anything from 25 years of painting, is that you never know when you're going to sell something. We may think that we know people. We may think that we know our market, and we can convince ourselves like, oh, people are going to gobble this up. They're going to love this. I could paint 30 of these and I'm going to sell them as soon as I put my brush down. And maybe you don't sell anything because that's just how the art world is. That's just how people are. Maybe they got tired. Maybe something happened and now they think you're boring. So I've learned that you really can't think of people when you're doing your work. I know that that sounds weird. I know that that sounds strange. But it's not that the act of socializing one's work is not important. No, of course not. That is when a work of art comes alive. And that's when the people you socialize your work with are extremely important. That moment is absolutely indispensable. So, of course, having a community that can support you, that can stand behind your work, that's amazing. But when you're doing your painting, you can't work for anyone else. I mean, unless you're doing a commission, and those are obviously hell. So, that's always tough. But if you're working for yourself, when we describe the work that we're doing as personal work, when we're saying, I'm doing this for nobody but myself, then that has to be true. Nobody else matters in that equation. We have to do things for ourselves. And I'm going to say it, this project has taught me how to feel comfortable with myself, how to feel completely at ease with myself. Because with a ton of paintings, I've struggled. I've struggled tremendously. If you guys were able to, like John Malkovich, and look through my eyes and feel what I was feeling while I was painting, you would be able to measure how nervous I am at times and how anxious I get at times and how conscious I am when something's not working out. But here's the cool part. I also tell myself, not because there's this camera recording every brushstroke, not because this is our job, not because we have to try and sell a painting. No, none of that really matters. What's pushing me, what's driving me is this thirst that I have to try and see if I can solve this problem, if I can find a way out. And that to me is incredibly exciting. If anything, that's like the sole aspect that makes all of this worth it. That feeling I get, and honestly, it's like with every single painting, but that feeling I get when I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I thought I knew what I was doing, but maybe I got too cocky, too overconfident. Maybe I just didn't pay attention for like 2-3 minutes. And 2-3 minutes of bad painting, oh my God, might as well scrape everything off and start over again, because as soon as we take our eye off the ball, we can ruin completely hours of painting. So when I find myself in those moments where I'm like, okay, this is clearly not working, this is not what I wanted to do, I love that feeling. I love that moment where I'm like, okay, we got to figure this out. We have to go through every tool that I have at my disposal to try and figure this out. So my brain just goes a million miles an hour at that moment, and I'm trying to measure and compare and check my values, check my angles. I'm just going through like this whole checklist of fundamentals of painting, trying to see if I can, find my way out. Sometimes I have to weasel my way out. Sometimes it's not very dignified, I would say, but it doesn't matter. I've told you guys before, I'm very scrappy. So if I can make it through the painting, and maybe I have like a bunch of battle scars at the end, but if I can make it to the other side, and if there's a cool painting waiting for me at the other end, I'm like, hell yeah, this was worth it. This whole exercise was worth it. This suffering was worth it. This anxiousness was worth it. I don't know if I would categorize making it to the other side as making an effective painting, like hitting it out of the park every single time. Like every time you're at bat, it's a home run. No. If I'm being self-critical, there's a ton of paintings where I've had so much trouble. So much trouble. Trust me, like, again, if you guys could feel what I feel, and if you guys could sense how incredibly frustrated I am many, many times because, I missed the mark, or I just, couldn't get close to what I intended to, maybe there's a painting at the end that symbolizes the battle that I went through, but maybe it's not what I wanted. I've come to appreciate whatever is there. I'm very grateful for the image that is there in the end. But I always know if it comes short, if it ends up being something completely different than from what I wanted to do. And there's always a lesson in the end. Every time I stop, every time I, look at the painting again and I try to evaluate it, I'm always like, okay, come on. You have to exercise more control here. You have to check your drawing here. You have to be more sensitive. You have to be bolder. There's always something. Always something. I mean, sometimes a color relationship escaped. Sometimes I would try to push an area of the painting and it just didn't work out. Like I was expecting fireworks as soon as I hit something and it's a dud. Nothing happens. This whole process, if anything, has taught me how painting can be incredibly personal and can feel tied to your whole body and mind, even if the painting is not exactly what you intended. Because we always seem to think that if and only if the painting faithfully represents what we understood as our objective, what was our goal at the beginning, the intent materialized, if and only if those conditions happen, then the painting echoes our true self. And that's true, but maybe it's not true for every single image that we do. There are images that can symbolize our frustration. There are images that symbolize our struggle. There are images that remind us of our shortcomings. And all of those things are us. All those things are the makeup of us. So I've come to appreciate the whole spectrum, all of it. And I welcome it. I love when paintings work out. I love when things just fall into place and you feel like painting is surfing. You just catch this amazing wave and you just ride it for whatever hours it took you to paint something. But let's be honest, and I'm not going to tell you guys which paintings are those, but if you asked me how many paintings have I done that felt like that during this whole process, 300 some odd paintings, I would say not even 5. Those are not like my 5 favorite paintings. Or those are not like, this is what I think is my best work. I've always said this, but the project is our whole work. The summation of all those paintings is the whole work. It serves no purpose to understand some paintings is better than others. It just doesn't. If I'm stuck there, then the whole project is going to suffer for that. One of the toughest things, and I do have to admit this, is to separate yourself from the fact that this is the way you make a living, that this whole project depends on the generosity of people. We always depend on people supporting our cause. And needless to say, you guys have been amazing. So the good thing about your generosity, the good thing about knowing that we have an incredible community that has our back, is that we don't think about selling anything. We don't. We separate ourselves from the feeling that, there has to be a daily sale. And if we don't do that, then we've failed at some level. No. And I think that this week, for example, particularly for Wednesday's painting, that little glob of paint, that's a tough painting to understand. It's a tough painting to paint. It's a tough painting to explain to other people. Simply put, it's a tough sell. So what do you do then? At some point, we say, we just do it. It doesn't matter. If it doesn't sell, it doesn't sell. That's totally fine. Like, for example, the painting we did of the rubber ducky and Ernie, we didn't sell that one, but people loved it. People absolutely loved it. And my sister, Luisa, she loved it. She was like, I want that painting. And I was like, just give us till the end of the week. And if it doesn't sell, it's yours. That's totally fine. And we ended up gifting it to her, of course. One of the cool things about having support is that let's do a week like this with abstract ideas, kind of nonsensical drives for paintings, because we need those. We don't need to make like a wonky, cool, edgy portrait every single time, because chances are we do really well with those and we can sell those. But trust me, at some point, I just want to do something else. I want to push myself to do something else, to think about something else. And I want you guys to go on that ride with me. And those are going to be weird days. It doesn't matter. We're going to have weird conversations during those days. But that's also super cool. I feel that we need those moments. We need those spaces to talk about things that, are just whims, where we are literally working for ourselves, where we identify that we need those paintings. It doesn't matter if they're great or if they have a number of likes or views. Who cares about those things? Those metrics are so ridiculous, so stupid. If I could just offer a little bit of advice, don't ever look at analytics. It's garbage. When people mention an algorithm to me, they might as well be speaking another language. I don't understand it. I've never made an effort to understand it. I don't care. If that means that there was a point where I had more likes and then I had less likes, and eventually I'll have no likes. Like, who cares? Who gives a crap? We'll find another way. I always tell myself that. If Instagram collapses or if YouTube just disappears, we'll find another way. We will. Because you know what? Before Instagram, before YouTube, I was a painter. I lived off of painting. So I have to trust myself that I'll find a way again. None of that matters. We're not beholden to any of this. It'll be tough, I'm sure. But, life is always tough. Transitions are always tough. But I'll be up for it. I'm totally up for it. It's exciting. Again, those moments in life feel, to me, like the moments where I'm stuck in a painting. And it's up to me to find a way out. I've always, seen it like that. And again, I may not be able to make it to the other side in a super elegant way. For example, for me, there were years that I struggled. I would not make $1,000 a month teaching for the university, for the fine arts faculty where I taught for 12 years. So for 12 years, if you're just looking at the salary that I would get from classes in the university, I would sign a contract every semester. So for 4.5 months for every semester, I wasn't making $1,000 a month. So if you think about it, let's be generous. Let's say 5 months for the semester, so 10 months for every year. So I wasn't making $10,000 a year when I was teaching, and that was for 12 years straight. 12 years straight. And I was teaching 5 days a week. You could ask any student that I had for those 12 years. They would see me every single day there. And because I was there every single day, that would mean that my painting would suffer because the time that I was at the faculty, I wasn't able to spend painting. So my painting time suffered for that, but I had to make up for the absurd salary that, teaching, there are no rich teachers out there. There are none. I'm sure there's people that do well teaching, and I'm sure there are very generous institutions that pay very handsomely, but I only have like a BFA, and I don't know, that's the money that I could get. And that was 12 years of my life. So like I was saying, there's been tough times, and I don't know how, but I'm here. I met Danny. We're an amazing couple. It's going to be 5 years that we've been together, so that's pretty cool. And it's been incredible. And we were able to construct this project together and just see it through, and it's been amazing. But not every year was easy. And yet, my kids are like 13 and 9. They have everything I think that they need and they want. I know that they are living a healthy, happy life, and that's all I could hope for. And Danny and myself, we're working our asses off, but we're super happy. We're super happy that we have each other and that we've been able to answer back to your generosity. So this week was about just painting for yourself, pushing through. You're telling yourself that you needed that painting. That's all you need to know. If you truly needed to paint something, if you really needed to speak about something, that's all you need to know. That painting belongs to you. And if it sells, great. But if it doesn't, it's always going to feel yours. And that's an awesome feeling too. That has no price. That's absolutely invaluable. Very happy about this week. Having said that now, we have a bit of bad news. There's something I can't control. I wish I could. I do get better, but it also gets worse from time to time. But my wrist again has been acting up. With Danny, we were thinking about it. And I guess, I had a week of color pencil drawing. And with color pencils, I don't hold my pencil quite properly. So I tend to squeeze on my pencil really, really hard. And that, puts a ton of stress on my hand and my wrist, obviously. We had a whole week of that. And then after that, we did a week of small paintings. The size of the paintings that we worked on for this week has been small. So that also stresses my hand quite a bit. So my wrist really hurts, like really, really hurts. I usually don't complain. I've come to accept that that's just a pain that I have to live with. I do stretch. I have to be a little more mindful with my stretching. But it's something that, I don't know. I kind of feel that pain on my wrist is just there to stay. And I just have to keep an eye on it. But I think we pushed it a little too much. And we decided that we're going to take next week off because we think it's best. Like when your body is telling you, I'm kind of at my limits, you have to pay attention and say, you know what? Let's take a break. So I'm going to take a break. I'm going to put my brace on. But don't worry. We'll be back the week after that. I hope you guys understand. I know you guys always do. So that's going to be it for today. Danny, Samu, Fer, and myself, we thank you for the opportunity that you give us to be your company every day of the week. And all we ask is that, well, not next week, but next week, in 2 weeks, you give us a chance to be your company once again, and hopefully with a rested wrist, so we can keep each other company through painting. I think that's a beautiful thing. So we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Thank you. Love you all. Bye.